son, look at there! Got a BangShift really came in the mail! Woo! Finally showed up. Open this sucker up. Little direction. I'm going to install this thing. Whoa, let me show you. Alright, let's talk about the installation of your BangShift Billy digital clutch controller. Here's what you get in the kit. Get your bleeder kit, digital clutch controller, the hydraulic portion, and your wiring harness. Alright, let's go through the install. First part is going to be your hydraulic manifold and the solenoid portion. This is all in assembly. We're just going to mount this on the test rig because every car install is going to be different. We're just going to do it here today. So you mount your solenoid or manifold setup. And then we're going to come from your clutch master cylinder, which is here. You got the clutch pedal back here. You're going to come out of this and into port 1 right here, which is the bottom port. Port 1. And then from your hydraulic release bearing, you'll have your line. You're going to go to port 2 on the manifold. Yep. Okay, the fittings for the manifold are -4 AN fittings on the one side, and the fittings that go into the manifold are -6 ORB fittings. There's an O-ring on there, and these just thread in. They're not a flared fitting. Okay, bleeding the system. You've got your syringe. You've got a stopper with a hole in it that goes on the top of the master cylinder. And of course, vinyl tubing. All US made. Okay. Stopper goes in the master cylinder reservoir. And we're going to put the bleeder line onto the bleeder for the release bearing. Okay, we're going to use .3 or .4 brake fluid. I prefer .4 because it has a little bit higher boiling point than .3. But we're going to fill up the syringe with clean .4 brake fluid. All right. Now you're going to put this syringe in the top of that hole. You're going to crack the bleeder line open, and you want to push this fluid through in 3 seconds or less. And you can see it coming out the other end. Okay. And we'll close the bleeder. You're going to want to do this a couple of times to make sure you completely bleed the whole system. We'll see. Okay, here it comes. Okay. Sometimes bleeding the system, you may need to crack this also, just to make sure you have all the air out of the system. And especially after you've actuated it a few times, sometimes there tends to be a little bit of air in the cartridge, and that's not abnormal, but I'm just going to go ahead and crack this loose. And just make sure that we don't have any air in the cartridge. Yeah, so if we look down inside there, I'm going to go ahead and push the clutch just to bring the fluid level up. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug the cartridge back in. Probably going to spill a little. That's okay. We want to bleed it. We want to make sure there's no air in that system. Just like a brake system, make sure there's no air in there. Okay, better. Thanks. Of course, I always use gluten-free. And you want to make sure your clutch pedal operates normally. Perfect. Totally bled. All right, the last two pieces. You need to mount and wire up the controller. This is the Bluetooth module for the clutch controller. So you've got your, come on in a little closer. You got your wiring harness here. It's super simple. You've got, I'll fast forward this too. All right, you've got your wires, your red wire, and these are all labeled on the wires. You got your red one is the power wire, the black one is ground, and you have your trigger wire. This one needs to get 12 volts when the clutch pedal's pressed, and the 12 volts needs to go away when you release that clutch pedal. Now the orange wire and the green wire are optional. One is the 12 volt output and the other one is the master switch. I can talk more about those later. But these three are the only three that you need to make this thing work. And then of course we have our output to the coil. So, you come over here. I've already got a harness wired up on this battery. And you can see that I've got the, so come close, these nice tight shots are nice. So we're not going to be using the optional ones just for this, but I have power wired to our battery, positive, ground wired to the battery, negative, and then the trigger wire is going to go through this push button switch on the clutch switch right here. So that's also, one side of that's going to our battery. So that when I push this, it's sending 12 volts to that trigger wire. And when I release it, like that, it's going to release the 12 volts. So let's plug this in. And you'll mount this, ideally, not under the hood. You want this in a not super hot environment. You're going to plug in the controller. This leads 4 feet long. You're going to plug this into the valve right there, and then we're going to give it some power. Let's see what we got. Okay, you can see right here you got your green power light, indicates it's on, and the blue Bluetooth light is blinking. Alright, so now you're going to want to connect to the app. You can use an Apple or an Android device to do it. You just need to download the app from the App Store on either device. Come on in here. We're going to go to the app. We're going to click accept, and it's going to be searching. And when it connects, this Bluetooth light will stop blinking. That will indicate that it's connected. So let's wait. It's looking to find it. There it is. It's connected. Bluetooth light's solid. We're connected. Now the first part we're going to use is the byte screen. Now this is where you will find your starting point for the byte point. You're going to set this to, let's just start at 15 milliseconds. And since I'm impatient and we're not actually doing this in the car, I'm going to set the bite time, or the hold time, sorry, for 5 seconds. So this is how long it's actually going to hold that release bearing after the clutch moves 15 thousandths of a second. So the car, you'd go out, maybe set it for 15, you'll see if the tires turn, but let's check it here. Okay, 15, it's going to hold it for 5 seconds, and then it's going to release. Okay, so when we get that bite point, we're going to go to the launch screen. That 15 thousandths will hold itself there for display purposes because it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to just set this to the minimum setting, which is 0.001 millisecond. And I'll set the launch slip for 2 seconds. Oh, real quick, you'll notice also, as you make changes to this on the launch screen, when programming changes are received, that blue power light is going to flash. You see that? I'll do it again. Watch the green power light. When I make a change, it's going to flash. That's how you know that your app is communicating with the controller. Okay. Try it again. There we go. Actually, okay, that's it.